Kids are anxiously awaiting the latest installment of the Wings of Fire series by Tui Sutherland. The Hybrid Prince, Wings of Fire, Book 16, and they will not be disappointed. You know why? Because I have Tui Sutherland with me today. Good morning, Tui. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. How big the secret that will be revealed is, and without giving away spoilers, what new parts of the Dragon World will fans get to discover in this book?
Well, it does take us to a part of the world we haven't been. In the first 15 books, we covered sort of two continents of dragons, and this one takes us to a part of the world that we haven't seen. It's a small island about this. I'm picturing it like about the size of Australia. A lot of the dragons here are sort of inspired by the flora and fauna of Australia and New Zealand, which my mom is from New Zealand, so I'm very like attached to that part of the world. So it's kind of an homage to those readers, and it does reveal secrets both about sort of the history of the world. Like there's one of my favorite things about world building, like epic fantasy, is how much lore you can put in and how much you can like hint at things that happened in the past. So we find out some things about that, and then also just what these dragons on this island are doing. And the main character, Umber, is a character that we last saw in book 6. So, like, one of the questions we're answering is where did he go at the end of book 6, and like what's he been up to in the last during the last 10 books.
Sounds interesting. Now, Wings of Fire has always handled big themes, identity, loyalty, belonging. How does the Hybrid Prince deepen or complicate those ideas for your readers?
I am hoping that it gives kids a lot to talk about, sort of with each other and with their families, because what I was thinking about. Every book that I write, I go into thinking like, well, what am I wrestling with, and like, how can I bring that into the how can I work through it with my writing? And so I was thinking about what do you do when you feel like the world is really overwhelming and there's so many big problems all around you, and the people in power are like unfair and there's injustice and you just don't know what to do because you're just one little dragon, right? I feel like a lot of kids can relate to that. They're like, well, what can I do? And so I don't have all the answers. Certainly that's like why I write 300-page books is to kind of like go through some of my feelings about it. And I think the dragons in this book, a lot of them have different answers to that question, and so they have conversations about it and they wrestle with like what can one dragon do, and they all have different sort of ways of figuring that out. And so that's, I think, one of the biggest themes of this is like, is there like ways that you can make the world better no matter how, like, what who you are in the world and what your skills are. It's sort of a theme of the whole series, but it was something that I was like particularly grappling with in this one, with this character Umber.
So, Tui, how do you balance rewarding the literary millions of longtime fans while still making each new book a welcoming entry point?
I mean, I'm always thinking about the readers as I'm writing the ones who've been reading it from the beginning, because I talk to a lot of kids who really want to know what happened to Umber. There's other characters too in this that like it sort of answers questions about where did they come from, and like all the way through history, like where did those dragons go. But I also hope that with each of the sort of the whole series is organized into these 5 book arcs, so that like book 1 started a storyline about a prophecy with 5 particular dragons, and then book 6 was the start of a new prophecy with 5 totally new dragons from 6 through 10, and then same with book 11. And so my hope is that each of those are sort of places you could jump in if you wanted to. You could jump in at book 6, book 11, or book 16, because we're in a new place. There's a new problem that's being introduced that we're going to have to deal with over the next 5 books. And then it also, like, there's so many new characters here. There's some characters that we've met before, but it sets up a lot of like possible new stories with these new characters instead. So you could hopefully jump in and not be too confused.
Speaking of which, how does the story raise the stake for belonging and figuring out who you are?
I think it does. Well, so the main character, Umber, comes from a group of like a tribe of dragons who they live with their siblings their whole lives. That's sort of their family structure is different from a lot of the other tribes. And so he is used to living with his brothers and sisters, and he's used to being told what to do by the biggest one. You know, someone who can tell him like, here's how to live your life and make all the decisions. And then at the beginning of this book, he's like separated from them. All he has is his one sister, who he's trying to take care of, even though she's sort of like traumatized by things that have happened, and so he feels very responsible for her, even though he's never been responsible for anything really. And so it's his struggle to try and like, you know, go from like funny little brother to like, no, I have to make decisions, and I have to help, and I have to make a difference, and I can't just do what I'm told. I have to, you know, do things that like I decide on for myself. And so that is definitely like a big thing in this book, is him, kind of that journey for him from like funny little brother to like, oh wait, I'm the hero, and I have to do something like important now. So I think that's probably the main sort of issue that he's struggling with.
Tui, that sounds so human.
Right? I mean, that's my goal with all these books. It's like my hope is that the dragons feel very human and feel very relatable. Like each of them has like a little piece of me in them. That's for sure. It's like, you know, what is you know, maybe we can fly, but like the, you know, but as a dragon, but they still have all the feelings that we do.
I was speaking with Tui Sutherland. We were talking about The Wings of Fire, the Hybrid Prince Wings of Fire, Book 16. Tui, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. This is really fun. I appreciate it.